Okay, everybody, let's take a deep breath. Okay, well, you may want to be careful. You might be, walking. Don't you might be walking on your phone and in the middle of carbon emission poison. You take a deep breath, bring in a lot of poison. Okay, let's not do that. I would just think, stop, collaborate, and listen. Ralphie Early Jr. is back with a brand new edition. Will it ever stop? I don't know. Okay, it's being silly. Twisted Tea. Keep it twisted. Sad. Y'all. What? Stop putting whiskey in your water and your sugar in your tea. What's all these questions they asking me? Guys, it's very important to understand. Okay, the technology is getting it's changing radically every day. It's you have a bunch of people using technology to fight and kill each other over manipulation of the resources and manipulation of the populace through technology and getting them all to fight over money. Okay, that's the current situation. Okay, I'm the hot stepper, murderer. I'm the lyrical gangster, murderer. I still like it like that, right? But Sham won't turn informer. Licky boom doom da, right? Intelligent. But guys, okay, that was a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, right? When they killed my mom with the medical industry and her treatment to save money, that was 1994. Okay, it's 2025, but they're still doing that. Okay. So we're still doing archaic genocidal operations for business. And it's 2025, and they did that to my mom in 1994, and it's still happening today. It's happening with my nephew, Justin. Okay. So the murder that corporations used to kill people in 94 through economic genocide, through Nelson Rockefeller and Richard Milhouse Nixon. We found ways to make money off of killing people with the medical industry. Well, like that, right? It's still happening today. It's 2025. Okay. Now, we're supposed to have science projects and great scientists, amazing scientists. People that are smarter than George Orwell and Isaac Asimov are supposed to stop us all. Okay? From putting on an act for money and telling people Final Destination scary stories to keep them in line for the Wasichu money. Okay? I want, I don't feel sorry for Zahn McLaren or whatever the guy who plays Jolie porn on TV. Okay? Because I talked to High Hump and Little Hawk Emperor, right? And I told you that story that Little Hawk told me about, I remember reading Mom Made Me Mary Sandus's book that they wrote down about the life of High Hump and Little Hawk and Crazy Horses, about Crazy Horse. And the shaman told the story because they knew only High Hump does this. They had the bullets, that you put in the gun, in the barrel, in order to change it into it was like a flint lock gun. In order to put the bullet in his gun, he had to put it in his teeth while he's riding, and then he'd put it in his teeth and he'd shove it in and he'd shoot people. Right? They were trying to kill his children, trying to raid his tribe and his village. And they said, if you put your bullet to your teeth today, you will die. Right? And that's powerful propaganda for poo-poo retards like you, comic book salesmen, and for George Lucas, and for Gene Roddenberry, and for Stan Lee. Okay, Stan Lee. Right? So you can be raised by Deadpool, Max Payne, Trinity, and no, it's Blade. Oh, sorry, Blade, Trinity, I don't know, right? So they were going out to ride into battle that day, and Little Hawk said, they're setting you up. And High Hump said, yeah, I know. Okay, hey, it's a good day to die. You think I'm going to let that little storyteller... You think I'm going to let Stephen King replace Ralph Earl Parsons Jr. as the Gracious Good Shepherd? You think I'm going to let Isaac Asimov and George Orwell and Chris Hitchens replace Jiddu Krishnamurti, Haile Selassie, and D.T. Suzuki and Sun Yat-sen as the Gracious Good Shepherd? Okay. I will die trying to protect children from ghost stories and Final Destination and comic book sales and Comic-Con and from Darth Vader. Okay. And he did. He died that day. His own people shot him in the back. And a couple of weeks later, Little Hawk died in battle without High Hump next to him, being killed by his own people in the back. Okay, and then years later, Crazy Horse was bayoneted by his own people in the back because Crazy Horse sat and told, was it Nelson Miles? Nelson Miles said, "You prove that you're loyal to us and become a scout for the American Army." And there's this guy, Chief Joseph. He's a real bad dude. He went off the reservation and he won't come back. And he's a bad Indian, right? And little Crazy Horse looked Miles right in the eye and he said this. He said, "Give me a coat and I will go there. But first, before I kill this Chief Joseph, I got to know his heart. So I'm going to talk to this Chief Joseph first and find out if he's as bad as your scouts and your people say he is. If he's as bad as you say he is and he won't listen, I will kill all the Nez Perce that you need me to kill to get them to be good Indians, be good, you know. But if I find out that you're lying and he's a good man, I'll turn around and kill all of you." They said Nelson Miles, who knew what a good person Chief Joseph was, sent Crazy Horse with an execution order to his, that willow wink of the eye thing, and they stabbed him in the back with a bayonet on the way back to the guardhouse. Yeah. Yoka Lakota, it's a good day to die, right? Guys, that was a long time ago. We don't need that same bullshit on TV. We don't need Deadpool. We don't need Venom. We don't need Spider-Man. We don't need Batman. We don't need Bateman. We don't need Poison Ivy. We don't need Catwoman. We don't need Elektra. We don't need Daredevil. Okay. We don't need blind lawyers running around saying, "You need money to live here. You need money to fuck." Is that Michael Clark Duncan? No, he's dead. Oh, damn. I liked him on Green Mile. Lots of people liked him on Green Mile. But Stephen King, no, you don't want a little pervert who's creepy and creeps people out, having your children buy into bullshit to become the next great American novelist so they can pay their bills and go have sex with hot women in a penthouse, even if they're as creepy and as unattractive as Stephen King. And yeah, that's a pain in the ass because, damn it, I was neither creepy or, I didn't creep people out and wasn't all creepy and disgusting. I wasn't like Danny Holland. That guy was on the radio and they said that this guy was in his backyard and he had grass 2 feet high and he ran over the toddler when it was crying crawling around in the yard when he was out there. And he started laughing. "Is that funny?" And I'm like, you need to get the fuck out of the house. I bet you that man was distraught and probably they had to be kept from committing suicide for that happening to that baby. And you think that shit is funny? You need to get the fuck out of here. That's when Pat Holland said, "I told you this house is different than other houses." Earl and his dad ain't afraid of you, and they do the right thing, and they're not afraid of doing the right thing. Yeah, and that's why Patrick Holland got mad at Patrice and said, "You're out getting drunk and high to get away from life, and you got a mom that loves you and doesn't go to the bar and party and get high and get drunk. She works her ass off to pay the bills to make sure you can have a good life. Your dad works his ass off to pay the bills to make sure you have a good life. And your siblings, Patrick's parents were bikers and drug addicts that put him in foster care with 2 alcoholics that used the foster care money to pay their bills and get drunk. That's why Patrick Holland committed suicide in our house, because when he turned 18, the Holland said, "We can't get money for you anymore, so you got to get out. So, you got no place to go. You're going to have to join the army." He didn't want to join the army, so he committed suicide. And I remember being upset because I told Mom, "Why didn't somebody talk to me about this? And why didn't we sit there and say, Pat, you can go get a job or go to some kind of tech school to work on cars, and you can stay here in the house with us and Patrice. Stay at Patrice." But no one ever gave him that option. No one ever said. And I remember being pissed off after he died, thinking, why didn't someone say what he was going through to me? I would have sat down and said, "Guys, we can save Pat from killing himself. He doesn't want to join the army. Let's let him go to Southwest Western Tech, because he likes to work on cars and he's good at it. He gets his thing from Western Tech. He becomes a mechanic. And then when Tree's 16, they can get married and get their apartment. And then if they feel they have to do mushrooms and drink beer and smoke pot and other things like that to get through life because it sucks, then they can do that on their own time. And then, that's their business. I ain't trying to tell nobody their business, right? You don't tell other people how to live when you ain't living the Lord's Prayer your own damn self, right? You know, the day destroys the night, night divides the day. Try to run, try to hide, break on through to the other side. Everybody loves my baby. Okay. There's a killer on the road. His mind is squirming like a toad. If you give this man a ride, sweet memory will die. Well, you got iHeartRadio, don't you? You got OnStar, right? If you give this girl, you gotta love your man. The world on you depends, that life will never end. Gotta love your man. We got Corey and we got Lydia. Okay. And the man who stepped up to be the dad of children that the biological didn't bother, he'll still be here for them and still be their dad, even though he lost his sister to murderers like you with iHeartRadio and OnStar. Okay? Hey, Stanley ain't here anymore. And you gotta deal with me. And I'm the way, the truth, and the life. So you pocket knife ass motherfuckers trying to hitch a ride in my car. You smoke dope? Nope. You smoke dope? Nope. Okay. Forgive debt and trespass and love one of the fraternal faithful peace. You won't have to give potheads or hitchhiking potheads a ride from El Paso to Las Cruces, and you won't have to get on a bus in Phoenix and have a drunken Navajo sit there and ask you 15 times, why you take our land? If I took your fucking land, would I be sitting here on the damn bus paying my bills next to your drunk ass? Shut up. That's what you tell a drunk Navajo when they ask you bullshit like that because he thinks you look like Jesus Christ on a bus in Phoenix in the 1980s. All right? Love you.